아침 5시 33분이 지나고 있습니다. 영어신문 스크랩해놓은 걸 좀 읽겠습니다. Anti-Semitism increased, then it got even worse. We are seeing worldwide growth of a social crisis. Why now? The Anti-Defamation League just released a report showing that in 2021 there were more anti-Semitic instances in America than in any other years since the group started keeping track over 40 years ago. We've never seen data like this before, ever. Jonathan, national director of the ADL, told me. The vexing horror of self-immolation. It forces the witness to confront an intensity of conviction that goes well beyond what they may think is possible. Do U.S. students need that forgiveness? Much of the backlash to proposal for student debt relief is based on a false premise. How much relief will he offer? I have no idea. How much relief should he offer? Another reason to get up our points. We need to reconnect with the material things and other people. Market plunge reflects fear of pain to come. Investors express worry that the Fed is going to cause a recession. The outlook for the economy, the effects of the Ukraine invasion, the lockdown in China, and exactly how fast the Fed will raise interest rate are still not clear. Markets are likely to stay volatile until they are. I treasure life in New York's subway. Now I am afraid of losing it. We are raging, delighted, terrified, dancing, sobbing messes in the subway tunnels. Above ground, I was isolated. Below ground, I was ensconced in community. I feel more connected with myself and my community on the subway than I do anywhere else. Disgust. Facebook's strategies to hook kids are dangerous. Getting children attached to social media is a bad idea. It's unreasonable to expect that children won't use the main versions of Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. Parents I know aren't clamoring for yet another site that big tech tells them is good medicine. They'd much rather have a safe experience on the site that their children and their kids' friends are already using. If man needed the abortion, it feels like the Roe v. Wade is under threat in a way that it hasn't been in recent memory. And that Representative Barbara Lee, Democrat of California, spoke about getting a back alley abortion in Mexico as a teenager before abortion was legal in the United States. Harvard and other schools make a choice in fossil fuels. Climate activists on U.S. campuses have spent the years organizing in the name of divestment, is starting to pay off. Divestment. Biden takes a beating on immigration. Exclusion under the pretense of public health is new for Haitians who even before the pandemic were granted asylum at the lowest rate of any nationality, with consistently high numbers of asylum seekers, according to any analysis of data by the Associated Press. In the years since President Donald Trump's election, the U.S. asylum system has almost become unrecognizable. Democrats face a serious reckoning with themselves. The party's agenda depends on last-minute compromise. Who even tried something like this, especially with today's polarized Congress? How abortion bans in some U.S. states disrupt medical training. Many residency programs find the law conflict with accreditation requirement. You have a legal body, the state, saying abortion is a crime, and an accrediting body saying it's a crucial part of training. The complicated return of holiday season agita. The pandemic gave some parents a reprieve that may be over. The economists who foresaw our global economic order. What if the world shared a single currency? I've learned from him. Why Donald Trump is finally finished. The second is that Trump is finally being abandoned by many of his usually unflagging apologists and enablers in right-wing media whose influence will be felt at the downstream. Enabler, unflagging. Putting bounds in your day. Exercising on a trampoline can improve balance and fitness in a low-impact way. Despite its exploding popularity, the trampoline still seems more like a children's toy than a legitimate workout tool. In addition to being a cardiovascular workout, bouncing is fantastic for balance, building muscles in your feet, ankles, and calves. Dr. P said, antiviral may reduce the risk of long COVID. The truth and myths about the antidepressant. The largest study of antidepressants to date was the sequenced treatment alternative to relieve depression, or STARD trial, which was conducted by the National Institute of Mental Health in the early 2000s. Losing faith in a state that can't even house its people. Homelessness in California is both a symptom and the cause of the growing political crisis. Numbers come a little closer. California is home to nearly 12% of the country's total population, but as of January 2020, 28% of its unhoused population, according to federal statistics. Unhoused population. Same-sex marriage is a religious freedom. The law shouldn't allow same-sex couples to be treated differently. I pay attention to these cases not as a lawyer, but as a gay man and a Christian. From dairy farm to owning the bestseller list, I read other people's books and I'm so envious. I'm thinking, oh my God, these are so much better. Her uncle still harvests hay for his cattle on the property. A climate game changer for infrastructure. New law offers tax credit to heavy industries that agree to retool their plants. Soon, however, some of that infrastructure could be rebuilt and repaired with greener materials if provisions in the Inflation Reduction Act work as intended. Retool. Are the mountains around my town going to collapse now that extreme weather is our constant companion? Everyone will have to find better ways to help one another. 2 summers ago, my town was evacuated for the Calder fire, which burned nearly 222,000 acres. A glimpse into the self-driving future. Riding along in a Tesla, a reporter learns that true autonomy is years away. The technology is not ready to take the driver out of the seat. As they continue to iterate on the hardware and the software, it is like a salmon going up the river. Iterate. Corporate profiteering is the culprit for inflation. close your introductory economics textbook and actually look at the economy. Although economists may not like to admit it, prices are not immune from political consideration. The strategy behind the U.S. Supreme Court leak was it meant to galvanize the left or right? It is something of a mystery. Galvanize. Is more war the only path to peace in Ukraine? If you combine this with Biden's comments at his summit in Poland last month, that this man Putin cannot remain in power, all that turns this a territorial war into a wider confrontation and might make negotiating a settlement to end the war in Ukraine far more difficult or even impossible at present. The limits of lived experience, privileging only those voices with a stake in a story carries its own risk. On abortion, beware the feminism of justice and Alito. Women apparently have advanced so far they no longer need guaranteed access to the procedure. What it means to raise an American girl now, when progress no longer feels inevitable. Their stories have something else in common. Apocalypse right now, Mother Nature called. She simply had it. Holy smoke. It feels like we are living through the post vertiginous 15 minutes of a disaster movie, maybe one called The Day After Tomorrow Was Yesterday. Mother Nature called. A little-known provision that could revolutionize U.S. travel. Buried in the Infrastructure Investment and the Jobs Act is a possible way to address all the costs associated with Americans' love of driving. By focusing on miles driven, the VMT fee can be fine-tuned to address all the social costs associated with driving. You are here to work, but who you are. Personality testing has become more popular in the era of remote jobs. In a territory as fraught as personality, it's no surprise that disagreements have sprung up as the tests have spread. I repudiate the graceful slide into cultural irrelevance. Why I, an aging millennial, am not prepared to give up on cool just yet. Irrelevance. and the proliferation of toxic plastic. To confront climate change, we must focus more than the greenhouse gas emission. Repression without the borders. Authoritarian leaders have taken their repressive tactics global. What's going on inside my cat's head? How my new past got me to consider life's deepest mysteries. Footage leaving Tesla in the dust. Tesla had me convinced for a while that it was a cool company. It made cars that performed animatronic holiday shows using their light and power-operated doors. My experience of racial preferences in academia following the U.S. Supreme Court's ruling on affirmative action. I have some personal stories to share, but many good-faith people believed and continue to believe that it is a clear boon to society for universities to explicitly take race into account. Resilience in an era of deconstruction. Opponents of diversity are opponents of any racial consciousness deconstruction. Broadway's return as a prayer for healing. It is a church for the heart and the mind. It is a church for the intellect, a mosque celebrating mankind. Children can handle dangerous ideas. Parents seem to be freaking out over everything their kids see, read, and do. I want my kids to read, watch, and listen to what piques their interest. Even if I don't like it myself. Pick. Full speed ahead on AI, the global economy needs it. The problem isn't that technology is developing too quickly. It's developing too slowly to bolster our sagging productivity. To me, that means full speed ahead on AI. Gen X has moved into the executive chute. New leaders are ready to take a new look at rules their predecessors followed. Gen X was one of the first generation to expect a little more from work, trying to set the boundaries. The rich are crazier than you and me. Why does Silicon Valley love RFK Jr. and all of his contrarianism? America isn't just black and white. The public debate around affirmative action hasn't grappled with the country's increasing diversity. The other officer cut to the important question: the student skin color brown? Heck no, Asian, the post officer replied. Of course, the other UNC official said, still impressive. Ron DeSantis is running one freaky the campaign. Rather than try to lift people up, he seems to be running on contempt. How does someone with that pitch possibly bring together and lead an entire diverse country if he gets that chance? And what does it say about the United States today that he has come this far? Have we put tolerance, grand ideas, and optimism so fully to rest? I remember morning in America. I guess it's now midnight. Freaky. International homes, a ladder, a dolly, a vacuum cleaner, a carpet steamer. No one wants to spend money on that stuff. Renters park on less and borrow more. Landlord is increasingly see shared goods as a way to attract apartment tenants. Atop the renovation of the wish list, a fire pole. As a kid, I always wanted either a slide in my house as a grown up or a fire pole, he said. The speech we load is the speech we must defend. Government cannot uh, deputize the private sector to act as a censor. tires rev up, please to return. I really don't know how I had time to work. The days are never boring. They are always full on. Rev up, rev up. Updated chatbot takes leap. It's exciting but still scary. When solving a CAPTCHA test, it hired a human TaskRabbit worker to do it, then lied to the worker about why it needed to be undone. Should you be excited about or scared of GPT-4? The right answer may be both. The commute was at the limits of one's tolerance. Really, I just thought I don't want to die doing this job. A rush to mine the deep sea must be stopped. This scramble could soon commence, and once it begins, there will be little hope of reining in it. Scramble. Pace of climate change as economists recalculating. Their preferred solution, a tax on emitting carbon, has given way to subsidies. Instead of penalizing emissions, the trend in America is to offer tax credit, loans, and grants. At the same time, the cost of technologies like solar panels and batteries for electric vehicles, in part because of huge investment by the Chinese government, was dropping within the range that would allow them to be deployed at scale.